I just dyed half my hair ash blonde and was about to do the same to the rest of it. But then, Mom burst into the bathroom.
What have you done to your hair now?
It's my hair! I can do whatever I want to it! I got mad and dyed the rest of my hair bright red to further annoy my parents. Hi, my name is Heather, and I used to be different. Shy, quiet like a mouse. I felt self-conscious about everything. My body, my clothes, my voice. And then I met a group of flamboyant kids. They looked like they came from a different world. They had tattoos and dyed hair and were listening to music in headphones 24/7. The best thing was that they immediately made me feel welcome.
Heather, don't be afraid. Do whatever you want.
I listened to their advice and gave it a try, and I liked it. It felt like I had been reborn. I dyed my hair every week. I also got a nose piercing and a small tattoo of a lightning bolt on my leg. For the first time in my life, I liked what I saw in the mirror. However, my parents were horrified. They tried to control everything. What I wore, what I posted on social media, my grades. My brother Harry was only a couple of years younger than me, but he always acted like a nerd from the previous century. He was an excellent student. He helped Mom in the kitchen and even vacuumed without being asked. Who does that? He was never scolded. Mom and Dad didn't interfere in his life. They were too busy fighting with me. And then one day, after we argued yet again, my parents said,
"We're going to travel around Ecuador in a motorhome."
Wait, what? Did they honestly expect me to come along and stay in a jungle with no Wi-Fi? I refused to go, but my parents didn't care. It'll be good for our family. They yanked me out of my life and shoved me into a frickin' motorhome. I sat in the back with my headphones on and ignored them all. I texted my friends the whole time and told them everything. That I was forced to go, that I was being controlled again, that I wanted to escape.
Turn this trip into hell for them.
Oh, I like the sound of that. That's how it started. From that moment on, I was insufferable, to put it mildly. Dad tried to pretend I wasn't there. Mom acted like everything was fine. And Harry just looked at me like I was a broken iPhone. On the third day of our trip, we all sat around the campfire. My parents tried to act like we were a normal family. Dad was grilling something, Mom was pouring hot chocolate into cups, and I was scrolling through my phone, bored out of my mind.
Heather, put your phone away. This is a family dinner. Don't even think about saying something sarcastic.
Well, they asked for it. I turned on trap music and used a speaker so that even the monkeys in the jungle would hear it. Then I took a can of spray paint and drew a skull on our motorhome. That shocked my parents speechless. Mom was on the verge of tears. Dad turned as red as a chili pepper. I walked into the motorhome, put on my headphones, and went to bed. No sarcastic comments, as requested. One day, my parents went to a local market. I saw a guy on a scooter. He had a tattoo and an earring and immediately caught my eye. Hey, could you show me around? Let's go to the city. Soon we were riding down a dusty road, wind blowing in our faces, loud music, palm trees all around. I bought street food in the city, fried bananas, some sort of tortillas. I came back in the late afternoon, covered in dust and smelling of fast food.
Do you know how dangerous what you did was?
Do you know how little I care? Would you prefer if I was boring like Harry? That's not me. The next day, I refused to eat anything, like a hunger strike or something. Mom was worried and followed me around with fruit and protein bars, but Dad just snorted.
If she wants to starve, let her. She just wants attention.
But then, something truly shocking happened. One night, when we were in the middle of nowhere, I couldn't sleep. I came out of the motorhome and heard voices.
After this trip, we're done. We can't pretend anymore.
I'm tired of fighting. I can't take it anymore, truly.
This trip is our last attempt for our children.
I froze. At first, I thought I heard wrong, but no. They sounded exhausted, and it seemed like that trip wasn't just another one of their whims. My parents were getting a divorce, for real. And then I got lost in memories. I remembered how my dad taught me to read a map when I was a kid. I'd use a ruler, he'd bring a compass, and we would pretend to be treasure hunters. I also remembered Mom making me a hat with ears. How could I call them losers in front of my friends? I wanted to sink through the floor. Only then did I realize that I really loved my parents. I didn't want to live with Dad on weekends or to see Mom crying in the mornings. I didn't want to be the reason for their divorce. I resolved to prevent that from happening. The next morning, I found an old photo on my phone of Mom and Dad on a beach together. They were smiling, and it was obvious they were having fun. You had fun back then, remember?
Your father lost our passports during that trip. I was stressed out of my mind.
Okay, so that didn't work. I made a mental note not to mention the photo again. Then I made them breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, juice. It was simple, but it came from the heart. You both deserve a little break. And guess what?
Anything is better than your mother's cooking. She once made pasta and I spent the whole day on the toilet.
You're still alive, aren't you? You could cook too, if you bothered to learn how to turn on the stove.
Great. Romance was dead. After that, I told Dad I wanted to start a video diary and asked him for help with his old camera. I wanted Mom to see that he wasn't helpless.
Your father can't even put in batteries without instructions.
What the heck? Was there no hope for them? That night, I took the old guitar Mom always brought everywhere and gave it to her. Mom, sing for us like you used to. Mom agreed. She strummed the guitar, but then Dad said,
No thanks, I'm not subjecting my ears to this.
He stood up and walked away. I was sitting by the campfire and feeling like a complete idiot. I tried so hard. Why did nothing work? It made me mad. Things couldn't fall apart like that. I didn't want my family to disappear. And then I came up with a great plan. If they couldn't find common ground, I had to force them. You know, like in movies. The heroes get into trouble and suddenly remember that they love each other. Adrenaline and stress are helpful that way. We were out of coverage area. I also broke our walkie-talkie. I took out the batteries and threw them into the bushes. Then I threw the map into the river. Finally, I drained the gasoline from our motorhome. I'm not even sure how I did it. Now we had no way of contacting anyone. No map, no fuel, but we were together. Spoiler alert, nothing romantic happened. At first, Dad noticed that the car wouldn't start. Then, when he realized that the gas tank was empty, he started to run around, look into the cans and swear. Mom tried to calm him down, then she tried to find the map. But of course it was missing. An hour later, they started to yell at each other.
You were supposed to be in charge of the car.
And you were supposed to keep an eye on the map, but you couldn't even do that.
I can't do everything by myself.
The only thing you successfully do by yourself is complain.
And you always yell and leave.
The longer they shouted, the more I realized that the troubles I caused didn't change anything. They didn't bring Mom and Dad closer, they just exposed everything that had been hidden under the surface. The dirt, the exhaustion, the resentment. It wasn't a crisis that brought people together. It was the finale. I tried to intervene, stop them, change the subject, but it was too late. All I'd done was hasten the end. I decided to talk to Harry. He was sitting by a stream nearby and drawing dragonflies in his notebook, as calm and quiet as ever. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for things to get out of control. I just wanted them to stop fighting.
I thought you were suffering because of Mom and Dad, but now I realize you were just destroying everything, and I put up with it all. Mom and Dad were always busy worrying about you, saving you, talking about you, arguing over you. Even though I was right there, I tried to be good. I hoped they would notice me, but no. They only had time for you.
Harry, we need to...
I don't care what you're up to. Do whatever you want. I'm not your brother anymore.
That felt like a slap in the face. I hadn't realized how much he hated me. But then, it all started to make sense. Like puzzle pieces that finally came together. Mom and Dad had been fighting a lot, but most of the time it was because of me. I had been struggling, but so had they. And it all began when I met my friends, dyed my hair, and started to rebel. Back then, I thought I was just trying to find myself, but in fact, I was drowning, and Mom and Dad were trying to save me, until they got tired, until they broke. And now, they were getting divorced because of me. The least I could do was apologize, say that I understood, that I was sorry. I grabbed the compass that Harry had dropped right next to me, as if on purpose. I went for a walk. I kept thinking about everything that happened that day. By the time I tried to return to the motorhome, I realized that I was completely lost. The trees looked different. The river was nowhere to be seen. Neither were any footprints or our tent. What the? I stopped to look at the compass. It was broken. Can you believe it? Seriously, universe? Didn't I have enough problems already? I turned around and went back. Then I tried walking in another direction. Nothing changed. It was getting dark. Dad? Mom? Harry! No answer. I heard rustling in the bushes, and a wave of fear swept over me. I felt like the world had become too small, like I was an ant that got lost in a carpet. I climbed up a tree like I'd seen people do in movies. I was hoping I'd see our campfire or tent from up there. But there were only trees around. I was lost, without a compass, without a map, without a way to contact anyone. Well, Heather, you wanted to be alone. Enjoy. I was running around in circles like a lost dog. It started to rain. My hair stuck to my face. My feet were covered in mud. On the first day, I stayed strong and kept trying to figure out where to go. I gathered rainwater in my palm to quench my thirst and was sure someone would soon find me. They would, right? On the second day, my optimism faded. I was so hungry I could eat a horse, but mostly I just wanted to lie down and sleep. At one point, I saw a bunch of possums. They looked at me like they were wondering which part of me to eat first. Or maybe I just lost my mind from hunger. Maybe those were just rocks and not possums at all. I sat down and realized that I couldn't take it anymore. My hands were shaking, my legs were wobbly, and my head was buzzing. I wanted to drink, eat, and sleep in a bed. At that moment, I would have even agreed to eat Mom's protein bars that always stank of fish. That's when it really hit me. Where was my cool independence now, huh? I always acted like I knew everything, but what use was my teenage rebellion now? I remembered how angry I had been at my parents for always meddling in my life and controlling my every step. Back then, I hated them for it, for their overprotectiveness, for always trying to change me. But now I would have given anything just to hear their voices, even if they scolded me, even if they shouted. Oh, I wish Mom would yell at me for getting my jeans dirty again, and Dad would lecture me about responsibility, as long as they were around. But it was too late. Goodbye, cruel world. I hope I get to be normal in my next life. I was lying on the cold ground, unable to move. Not because I was being dramatic. I just didn't have any strength left. But then... Shh! The sound was coming from the above. I opened my eyes. A drone was flying high in the sky, probably looking for someone. Wait! It was looking for me! I tried to wave at it, but my hand only twitched and fell back down. It didn't work. I tried again, but I simply didn't have any strength left. The drone circled above me and disappeared behind the trees. I closed my eyes. I couldn't even cry. And then, a couple of hours later, rescuers in bright vests found me. Someone was leaning over me, and someone was using a walkie-talkie. I mumbled something unintelligible.
We see her. She's all right.
How did you find her?
Her bright hair. We noticed it right away.
My bright hair came in handy. It wasn't just for looking cool. I was brought to a village hut with some ventilators and hospital beds in it. Mom, Dad, and Harry were already there. I wasn't dead. Mom burst out crying. Dad did too, although he tried to hide it. They hugged me, and I burst into tears as well. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm sorry I ruined everything. At that moment, I really felt that I needed to say those words, even if they wouldn't forgive me. I thought everything would be fine. We were back together, and that meant all ended well. But then, they told me the news. I was going home with Mom, and Harry was leaving with Dad. That was it. My family was no longer a family. It took me a moment to realize that it was happening for real. And then, Harry came over. He hesitated for a moment.
I'm sorry. I broke the compass.
What?
I did it on purpose. I wanted you to get lost because I hated you. I thought that if you disappeared, Mom and Dad would get back together.
As I looked at him, I suddenly realized he wasn't mad. He was hurt.
But things only got worse. They started to fight again, even more than usual. Dad said that Mom ruined everything, and Mom said that Dad was always running from problems. They didn't grow apart now. They were never compatible to begin with.
I thought the world revolved around me, and you thought everything would be better without me. But we were both wrong. That was it. The bitter truth. My parents' divorce wasn't my fault, but I was the reason for it. Mom and I returned home. Dad and Harry moved to another city. Mom walked around the apartment like a ghost. She looked at our family photos like they were ancient relics and washed Dad's shirts even though he wasn't coming back. Mom, I thought I was saving our family, but I just made it fall apart faster. I was a difficult child. You and Dad weren't close from the beginning, but I made it obvious. Mom looked at me. It was a sad look, but also a gentle one.
You've grown up, and that's the most important thing. Everything will be fine now, even if we aren't together anymore.
A couple of days later, I saw my friends. They were standing next to an old gas station, eating chips and laughing.
Well, did you give your parents hell? Have they had enough of family outings?
I looked at them but didn't say a word. I just turned around, left, and never went back to them after that. When I got home, I went to the bathroom and washed the dye off my hair. It trickled down my skin like ink. My hair was my way of rebelling, my freedom, my way of saying, I'm not like you, I'm different. But now it was just a color. The color that saved my life, but didn't save my family. Sometimes I sit on my bed and wonder if Harry will ever forgive me. Should I even try to return things to how they used to be? Or should I let it go? What do you think? Tell me in the comments down below.